Hey guys, what's up? It's me, People25 here, and today I am bringing you a new potential series on my channel called Imagine Yourself as the Boss. Now, the big difference between this and a common or rather sibling series to this known as the 5-year plan or something along the lines of this is that I, myself, have been put in charge with the attraction plannings and development of my home park, of course, basically my guinea pig for any new series I try out. I'm the sole person in charge for their attraction planning and development over the next 5 years. Instead of predicting what most parks are going to get within the next 5 years, like many other 5 plans do, using logic and reasoning, I'm going to use logic and reasoning to logistically and install rides in a manner that makes sense, according to the park's past history. And of course, I have my opinions. People may disagree with my ideas, but I feel like I'm addressing a lot of the park's major needs by doing this. And I would happily do this with other parks if you so want to. I got like Carowinds or Six Flags New England. Keep in mind this is probably the best video in this entire series because I'm most familiar with this park. But if this series absolutely just leaps off, I think this could be a long-running series that I do for pretty much every theme park I visit, or even theme parks I don't visit. Because I don't have to know everything about a park in order to figure out what it needs. You can identify gaps in a lineup in pretty much anything if you're a competent coaster enthusiast. Now, there is one big thing that most 5 plans do, and you're not going to pull a Six Flags New England and install 2 boomerangs in the same park. You need to look back at the past to determine the future. And we have this entire decade's worth of history from 2010 to 2018. In 2010, Little Dipper was added and relocated from the now defunct Kiddieland, was added where Bugs Bunny National Park was, and Great American Raceway, their antique cars, closed for a later expansion. 2011 was the last Hurricane Harbor expansion, Riptide Bay, taking the former spot of the go-karts, relocated to Bugs Bunny National Park's new spot, or former spot, and Iron Wolf closes in September of 2011 to be replaced by another thing. Iron Wolf is then relocated to Six Flags America for their new 2012 attraction. 2012 brings in X-Flight on the former spots of the antique cars and Splashwater Falls, which was a Hopkins or some sort of shoot the chutes ride. 2013 was a down year. We had Ignite Grand Finale, a lights and fireworks show taking place in the hometown square every night or most nights. And Raging Cajun closed and relocated to Six Flags America for their 2014 season. The footprint where Iron Wolf once stood is then replaced by Goliath in 2014, an RMC wooden coaster. Nothing else notable happens that year. Maybe the closure of the ropes course, but I'm not sure if that's a later year. I will mention the ropes course, considering that the only thing that replaces was the Fright Fest graveyard and just a Fright Fest advertisement display with like a haunted limo and corpses and some stuff. It really isn't. There's nothing in that spot currently. 2015 brought in another small year. Hometown Park, 3 classic kiddie rides, quote unquote, being restored and brought to the park in some empty patch of land. They're all clumped together reasonably well, and the Southwest Amphitheater is demolished in favor of the 2016 attraction Justice League Battle for Metropolis, the Shooting Dark ride. And Orbit and Justice Wild Ride close for the 2017 expansion. East River Crawler is relocated to Orbit's spot, and Justice Wild Ride is put into storage for Joker in the former spot of Raging Cajun and East River Crawler and Justice Wild Ride. Joker is an SNS 40 free spin coaster, and King Chaos, just nearby from there, closes for 2018's direct replacement with a 100-foot-tall Super Loop. Now, that's a pretty solid past decade. They've put in 4 coasters, and they've closed 2 of their supporting lineup. They put in a really good B&M. They put in a really solid RMC and 2 good supporting coasters. A wooden kiddie coaster to restore history is actually a really good thing. And Joker, of course, was being mass installed. We didn't even deserve Joker for 2017 or 18. We could have just kept that spot for the Super Loop and kept King Chaos around for a better flat ride collection. But the past is the past. We can't change that. What we can change is the future. And my 2019 ideas will be touching up in an 8-year-old thing, a major water park expansion. Yes, this is what I'm doing. Now, I have 2 major phases for this major water park expansion. You did hear me stress this potential idea during the whole Chase the Storm campaign teasing back in August of 2017, where, yes, I did say that the water park will separate from the dry park. I said it was entirely possible. Looking at the lineup, it's no longer possible to go through security, then go to the water park, but instead it's going to be a separate entrance, and the front right side of the premium parking lot, which is fine. Or they can invade the little walkway with security in the entrance thing for water park goers, which is fine. But the first thing, announce the closure of the Pictorium and Susan Rosen's hypnosis show, which can be relocated reliably to the Pictorium in the mornings for about an hour, maybe one show or two in the mornings. And then later at night will be Love at First Fright. The Pictorium will close, demolish it, and its footprint will go for either a large water slide complex, as shown in the Kalahari's Sandusky's location of a large slide complex with many things, including a double funnel, a wall slide, and a saucer slide, as well as a couple speed slides. So there's a couple good things there. And I think they can get a pretty decent sized slide complex like that. Not to say that they need to carbon copy that, but it's a really good idea to put a slide complex there. Or if you want to use a large part of the previous entrance as well as the previous hub where the turnstiles were, and you turn left around Viper, you could turn that entire back area minus a little pathway into a water coaster. But that's only if we have enough land for that. I heard water coasters like Thunder Rapids at Six Flags West Texas take up a lot of land. And the strip of land that was formerly occupied by the entrance, we can use the land where the strip was, the turnstiles, and all the way back to Raging Bull's Helix for as far back as we can go, as far right as Viper's Fastlane Q line, or Flash Pass, sorry, and as far left as the railroad, or the Great American, whatever the railroad is. We can use that for a long and narrow slide complex. I was thinking Mat Racer, but we already have Wahoo Racer. So the next best thing that we can cut a large commute for, just like Great Wolf Lodge, I want to see us put in something like Cowabunga at Noah's Ark. These things are short rides, they have good capacity, and they haul ass. You get some mad airtime if you ride with the entire family. And this ride can be absolutely insane. Plus they can modernize it with some of the more modern tubes, and they can use magnets, and they can make the experience as borderline crazy as possible. And it'll fit. They can even do 2 slides reliably. They can do the exact same structure, but instead of engraving the entrance to a mountain, they could just have a stairwell. It could be an absolutely amazing addition, considering Cowabunga, as a previous rider of it, is a really good ride. Cowabunga is an underdog ride at Noah's Ark, and I really want to see one come to Great America. And separating it means you can use the former entrance, which is just a big land hog between Viper and the railroad, for that. And I was going to say like Wahoo Racer, or something like Quadzilla, a bigger version of Quadzilla, or one of those mat slides like Great Escape, the ones where they twist, instead of go outward. No, this is the best idea considering we already have Wahoo Racer, and it is structurally and engineerically sound. So it's not breaking, it's not being ruined, and there's no need to kill it. And that will probably mark the last major water park expansion. It'll almost be like a phase 3 of major expansions. Phase 1 was 2005's initial thing, plus Tornado. Phase 2 is Riptide Bay. And Phase 3 will be this thing, with a large slide complex or water coaster, plus a Cowabunga-like slide, or long and narrow complex. So, all from here on out, only minor improvements or direct replacements will be made. You will see more of direct replacements later on in the lifetime of the water park, particularly in a later entry. 2020 will bring a thrilling flat ride package. Come Labor Day of 2019 will be the final day of operation for the 10-year-old Buccaneer Battle, steadily dwindling in popularity along with almost every other water ride, and parks around the area are panicking to close theirs, like Dollywood closing River Battle. And before then, we'll announce that the ride is closing probably in July or August of 2019. The ride will close on Labor Day, and before Labor Day comes around, the announcement day 2019, which will likely be late August, early September, will introduce a 23-story skyscraper and an ABC Rides Turbolon to introduce or to inhabit the roughly 30,000 square foot area of Buccaneer Battle. The ride itself takes about 22,000 square feet via Google Maps area projection. However, if you include the sidewalk, where going back behind using the entrance, the queue line, and the sidewalk that basically connects it to the rest of the park, because they couldn't bother to make it any bigger, you can use 30,000 square feet of usable land. A skyscraper only takes up about 10,000, about a 10,000 area. So the circumference is only going to take about the left side of the thing. You can just corner it and use the rest of the queue line. And then you can stick a turbolon on the right side, close to the food courts. Also, to fix a long-running issue with the park, the skyscraper is a perfect opportunity to attach a long-distance LTE beacon on top, solving the poor reception problem around the park once for all with a centralizing AT&T Verizon multi-cell service LTE beacon to where people can finally get good reception at the park and not have to worry about waiting a minute or two just to download a photo via text message. I've had to go through that struggle a lot. And also, Skyscreamers will solve a huge gap in the flat ride problem, considering coaster enthusiasts have been asking for this ride since 2015. Ever since we got Goliath, people and the Skyscramer became more and more popular at other parks like Six Flags Great Adventure, Six Flags St. Louis, Six Flags Over Texas, Six Flags New England, Six Flags Discovery Kingdom, and more. People have been asking for Great America to get one because they're good rides. And the ABC Turbolon, a new for 2018 trend, hopefully we'll see more installations in Six Flags because it looks like an absolutely mad ride and will be a very suitable replacement and very worthy successor to King Chaos, which was just one axis. This is a 3-axis spin. So yeah, this is going to be a good replacement, and our flat ride collection will go up significantly in quality by installing these 2 rides in replacement for the 4th most popular, or even like 3rd most popular water attraction in the park. Not 3rd, 5th is what I meant to say. Because I'm pretty sure the freaking Misters are more popular than this thing, or Buccaneer Battle. 2021, I'm going all in. In the summer of 2020, June or July, to give people enough adequate time, I will announce the closure of both log flumes. That will mean 2 years in a row where the water rides are dying, much to the dismay of classic ride fans. Now, the main objective here, I want a world-class coaster for Six Flags Great America. Goliath and Raging Bull, while being fantastic rides, do not classify as world-class, considering that they're both in the bottom tier of their respective categories. B&M being among one of the worst, or the generally consensus worst hypercoasters around, and RMC being bottom of the bottom RMCs, along with Joker, and potentially Twisted Cyclone. So, yeah, we need a major overhaul. And really the only way to get enough land for a world-class coaster is to do something major. These 45-year-old log flumes will be a perfect opportunity to bring in some things. Water rides are already declining. The log flumes are falling apart because of all the technical issues back from the outdated technology it uses. There's a lot of bits and pieces that are just going bad, and more parks are removing their water rides. Great America will follow suit, leaving only Roaring Rapids as their last water ride, pulling something along the lines of Carowinds, where their only current water ride is something along the lines of Roaring Rapids. Thankfully, Roaring Rapids will be better than the Carowinds version. Moving onward, taking out both log flumes will give us from the entrance of Yankee Harbor, or entrance of Yankee Clipper, to the entrance of Loggers Run, all the way back to the Picnic Grove, it will give us roughly 150,000 square feet. But if we axe V2 along with this as a 3rd sacrifice to the gods, we will relocate it most likely, considering it's a functional coaster. I think it'll work well at Six Flags Over Georgia, because they don't have a launch coaster. It will work very well at that park, because Six Flags America already has a better launch coaster in Joker's Jinx. And if we axe V2, we have the entire waterway and queue line to work with. So 175,000 square feet. But I don't think it'll be necessary, considering the 2 coasters depicted on the bottom are smaller. The one that I'm looking at most notably is a similar version to a Twister airtime-filled launch coaster like iSpeed at Mirabilandia in Italy. And the nearest Intamin Blitz is Maverick, which it probably will be overshadowed by Maverick considering they used an entire 300k square foot Swan Lake for this, for Maverick. But the interaction over the water, potential rock work, and a very forceful launch and Blitz type layout will be an extremely welcome attraction. Or, if we want to go taller, we can go with something along the lines of Blue Fire Mega Coaster from Mack if Intamin's already straining relationships with North America. Again. Well, Mack is an up-and-comer. Six Flags has worked with Mack in the past, with Buccaneer Battle and the Dark Knight in the past decade, or past 2 decades. From this point on. Yeah. Both of these will be a good source of inspiration. Of course, we'll make it original. We're not going to clone them. But it will be a kick-butt attraction if we put one of those in. And if we make it good enough to where if we manage the layout enough to where it fits perfectly with as much elements, as much airtime, and as much banked S-turn speed as possible, with the proper restraints, this will be our world-class coaster and the one that is shown in the faces of the cameras. And we have a 3-hit KO punch with Raging Bull, Goliath, and this new fangled launch coaster. It will be a great idea. It'll come at a hefty cost, but it will be an absolutely brilliant idea for the park. And the last coaster they'll need to install until easily 2025. And even then, it'll be a minor or supporting attraction. Now, 2022 will be another off year. I'm thinking we use the former Hurricane Harbor entrance where a fountain and a bunch of benches currently sits with a gate, looking all lavish and Greek and all that, which gives us about 6,000 square feet all the way from the bridge to the railroad to Viper's Q line to give us room for a family flat ride. If we want to go a little compact, I'm thinking something like a Chance Wipeout, or something similar to Pandemonium going up to Six Flags Great Escape. Or maybe we can see a Zamperla Endeavor if we have enough room, considering Orbit took up only roughly 5,000 square feet, considering it's a perfect circle. I don't know which ones are bigger in comparison, but this would be a good successor to Orbit, a long attraction that I bitterly miss at the park. And general maintenance. This is always a good thing in off years. Just make the park look pretty. And do it well. I'm suggesting some cleaning, so like degumming, cleaning, get some of the long-term stains out, all that stuff. I'm suggesting some amenity improvements, maybe update some broken or constantly down bathrooms, or make some food service tools a bit more reliable, or replace the equipment. Like sometimes the Coke machines go a little AWOL, or maybe you can find a way to keep the nachos from going stale. Replace equipment if needed, or like mechanical bits and pieces. And I think also the big ticket will be a repaint for one or two steel coasters. I can cut the general things out if we get a repaint for a coaster. Raging Bull definitely needs a repaint, and by then Superman will also look like trash as well. If Raging Bull and Superman repaints don't happen sooner, it will happen this year. And also, it's gonna look fantastic. Raging Bull is gonna keep the classic orange and purple color scheme, and Superman will rightfully so be the same colors, considering it's red, blue, and yellow, the classic Superman color scheme. Both things are already falling apart, and the paints are chipping, and gum is everywhere, really. But it will be a welcome addition, and a welcome renovation to the park. In 2023, I will be replacing Skull Island. The area will be 18 years old and will be an opening day attraction from Hurricane Harbor, and it's already falling apart when this video was recorded in 2018. Now, I would like a more functional and modernized version of this fortress while also increasing the size. Skull Island is absolutely massive and not a lot of kiddie splash areas compared to the size of it. And it's also one of the few that actually features like rope climbing or ladders, or just basically you're not walking on hard plastic the whole time. You're walking on like little bridges and mesh and all that. I want to keep that. And I want to make everything functional. I want to make the slides a bit faster. The slides are known for being a bit too tame and having high rates of friction. And definitely will update an attraction that is reaching the end of its service life. By 2023, 5 years from now, it will be at the end of its service life, and will need a direct replacement in its very large plot of land. We can also keep or replace the little boat thing on the side if it's just basically meant for infants, if so needed. Skull Island is fun for the whole family. If we can make it a version that's better and accessible for the whole family, I think it'll be better for all of us. And of course, that's not all I want to do. In my tenure, also put additions for the next 10, 15 years, or even as soon as 2019, because the order isn't exactly that relevant as long as you don't go a huge gap without something else. I would like to replace Revolution, a standard inside-facing frisbee, with a Zamperla Giant Discovery. It's Revolution currently, it pays the bills, but it really does not exceed as a flat ride. And replacing it with a Zamperla Giant Discovery will give Great America a well-deserved flat ride increase. I'd like to attempt to ace Demon, who will be 45, nearly 50 years old by the time it probably gets aced, and keep it up with Vekoma parts. I retract my statements from earlier. I do believe Demon is in some danger, but I'd like to keep it around. It's really one of the only coasters that can be a inverting coaster for the whole family. I just like to see it around. I'd like to repair or replace Classic Flats. Maybe keep Skytrek Tower in a decent operation to where it's open for more than a week at a time. Or keep Condor up and running. It's gotten better than the past couple years, but it's still a little bit shoddy with its maintenance. Just replace them or repair them. Definitely repair the Skytrek Tower. It's an icon. How else are you going to put Larry the Gorilla up on during Fright Fest? I'd also like to replace the go-karts with a small family coaster. I was thinking a Wild Mouse, but we already have one. And Raging Cajun already tried, and that experiment failed. So maybe something else. Maybe like a Gerstlauer bobsled. Or Mack, or whoever makes it. One of those that are opening in France this year, or Belgium. And I would like to say that it's about 40,000 square feet to work with, so it would be a suitable replacement. It definitely would have been able to fit Joker. We would have been able to save the Orbit. But nevertheless, they're still around. I'd like to replace them as soon as the gas starts becoming a bit too noxious and they're reaching the end of their service life, and it's not nearly as profitable when the go-kart season pass runs its course. I'd also like to give American Eagle a retrack and a modernization. It's getting really rough in certain parts, and just needs to be more modernized. It's an early 80s wooden coaster, and it needs desperately to be modernized. I've always said if American Eagle was retracked to GCI today's standards, it would be a top 5 coaster in the park. It would definitely take away from the classic feel, but it's better for all guests riding it. It's definitely a rough coaster, and it can't get any better unless they put some serious time and effort into it. I'd also like to replace other major water park structures, not like any slide complexes because they're all fine, but I would like to maybe update the lazy river, put some more jets or geysers and fountains in there, make it similar to Wahoo River and Six Flags America for like an on and off year. Or maybe I could replace a slide if it's falling apart or renovate a slide. Maybe Wahoo Racer can go to an 8-lane or 10-lane soon enough instead of a 6-lane. Keep it similar to that and maybe make it a little taller. We can maybe, I don't know, maybe we could just replace some parts. Of course, it's always a good idea. And I would like to retheme and potentially expand both kiddie areas. Camp Cartoon is under licensing issues with Hanna-Barbera, and the only major Hanna-Barbera character that sees spotlight in Six Flags Great America is Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo. Although the Jetsons, Yogi Bear, and Flintstones are already in the park as well, through this long history back in the 90s when it was a premier park. And Kidsopolis is a little too basic. Maybe I can retheme it to friggin' DC Super Friends, or we can make it the next Bugs Bunny or Looney Tunes Boomtown or whatever. Make it a theme more to the licensing properties. It definitely has a more appealing charm to children. You can make it a hotspot for character meet and greets as well. That's something I'd also like to increase in the long run, the entertainment options. They've gotten better, but they still need some work. And that's just to name a few, really. There's a lot of things I like to do at this park, but that's just some of the major things in my brief 5-year tenure at the head of attractions. Now, that definitely doesn't sum it up, but I'm going to sign off here. If you guys have enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a like, comment, or subscription, and yeah, especially if you enjoyed the video. I hope you guys have a great insert unit of time here,